Recording now too.
Okay, I'll do it as well.
Yeah, thank you. And then I don't know if it really matters what order we go in. We can give Katie towards the end, so she's kind of reviewing again here quick.
Hey,
Yeah,
Ethan, it
sorry.
No, that's all
says
right.
ask, it says request to meeting host. I'm going to send you a request to allow me to record to my
Oh, okay.
computer. I don't know if that's going to override yours or be an addition, but I'm sending you a request.
I approve.
Okay.
Is yours recording now too?
It does say, yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, I guess I can kind of just start us off too, if you like, and we can kind of go from there. So I'm focusing on the hypodermic embalming, and essentially, we'll I kind of start with what does he want us to talk about here? Um, describe a moment we'd use it and how we would use it. So essentially, the hypodermic embalming would be if we had a direct, instead of using the arteries to inject arterial fluid, we would directly inject it either with a needle, syringe, or a trocard. I know in times past we've used a trocard in their legs when they've had some necrosis already starting, if they have diabetes and the circulation just really isn't getting through to all of the distal portions of their limbs. Um, and we would normally use a pretty high index arterial fluid. I know some people you can use a needle and a syringe and like the smaller pieces of their face and fingers. We've always had I haven't had to do that yet. Seems like we've had good luck with just doing additional injections. Um, and other times we'd use it too, like during autopsies, if there's portions of the body that aren't getting proper circulation with our arterial injections. If there's spots there, we can kind of do additional injection as well, just under the dermis, hypodermic embalming. Or if there's any other trauma in on the body too, we can give additional injection there. Yeah, it's kind of if anybody else had some experience with that too, kind of quick, but I kind of hit all my bullet points already.
Yeah, I've had little, just getting into the embalming, little to do with like using a trocar, like you mentioned, for more necrosis cases. But we've had like issue, and we're talking about embalming, but like just under the face and cheekbones that didn't get it, or other areas on the hands or something. But other than that, I have no experience. I don't know about anybody else.
I've done hypodermic embalming for like the sidewalls when not all that is getting distributed out. We've done that before too, like some of that lividity on the sides and stuff we've done.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
think we
know people
lost
can use
somebody.
it if you have like autopsy. Well, autopsies I talked about, but also if you had just a limb, I forget what it's running a blank for the word, but if you had just a leg or something and
Yeah.
you only have, it's
After
hard to get the right arteries connected because it's just so um, either
trauma.
decomposed or
Hmm.
damaged that you can go into the larger portions of the flesh too and really pump directly into it if we can't get an actual vessel to use.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean sometimes the person just really doesn't distribute well either, and you just have to lift them all. So
Has anyone else done a full 6 point injection embalming where you have to
I
hit?
have.
Uh,
Yeah, it seems like that was the first one I helped my preceptor with.
Same. I'd helped. I have not completed one myself, completely. But it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen him use like tissue fillers with the needle and syringe, but I've never seen him do any embalming fluid directly into the fingers or anything like that.
Mhm.
I
So that was
haven't yet either.
I think we pretty well have that covered if somebody else wants to take a turn.
I'm ready unless somebody else wants to go. So I'm my questions are based on the ethical considerations in embalming, and I'm just going to run through some bullet points I have. Stop if you have any. I guess I don't want to answer a bunch of questions, but like anything in addition to or whatever. But here's what I come up with in no particular order, but we have to consider the handling of the body with, care and gentleness. I mean, obviously, we want to not do anything bad to the body, and we have to speak respectfully in the presence of the deceased, not talk about the case in any bad way. Maintain a professional demeanor, despite the conditions of the remains. I guess that goes hand in hand. We want to ensure the proper draping and coverage during the procedures that would need to be. We need to get consents. We have to make sure the family even understands what embalming is, make sure it's clearly explained to them without any pressure or manipulation. Also, if there's any religious or cultural objections, and understand that if they don't want embalming, how we proceed with it, if it conflicts with the services that they want or not, or talk through them, make sure they know what we can and can't do for them. We have to make sure we document everything ethically, any concerns. The privacy, we have to keep everything private, not discussing any specific cases with anybody that shouldn't know. What else do I have? I would say back to a little bit to the religious issues, if there's any rituals that they would like us to incorporate with it, I guess it's not really super ethical, but wanting to make sure that nothing is skipped if there's a washing ritual or something that they want incorporated that we could help them with. Anything to do with their culture. Also, I would say just being knowledgeable in that area of, we probably would figure that out. The earlier the better if it has something to do with embalming. If we could even at the time that we meet with the family at the home or at a facility, if we could get that information. I guess another thing would be not promising unrealistic results from embalming if we're not sure. We don't want to overpromise something that our team or ourselves can't do. That's not really ethical to say something and then do another or not be able to do it. Just maybe be clear in communication with how things work, and there's unknowns, and we'll do the best we can. Also, I don't know much knowledge on it, but I did see that some people want to be environmentally ethical. Maybe families ask if you can use some environmentally friendly embalming fluid, or I think Carico touched on this. I have not used any. I don't know if has anybody else used any in the Zoom.
Mm.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So yeah, there's some green embalming alternative chemicals as far as I know. I don't know much about them.
Yeah, I'd be curious too to know like formaldehyde is in pretty much every single arterial fluid, and those are all pretty toxic from what I understand.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I wish I knew more about it. I probably should. It'd make for a better Zoom, at least on my part, if I could talk more about it. But I do know they're out there, and I do know that some families are wanting that more and more. I'm sure they don't know much about it in the first place, but it's I guess they're pretty pleasant smelling too, versus the formaldehyde smell. Couple more points. Any like, I guess it's not quite ethical, but I just want to touch on like appearance. Like if it kind of falls in the cultural or like how the family wants them to appear, or if there's any certain taboos or things in their mind that we should steer clear of, or in addition to. I don't know. That's kind of just in a nutshell, being upfront, honest with families, and doing a good job, I guess, ethically. Act like the family was in the room while you're taking care of their loved one.
Yeah, my
Anybody have
preceptor
anything?
always says that. He says, if it's not something you'd say with a family sitting in the room, then don't say it.
Right, and that's a good thing to go by.
Yeah. I know another big thing too is like not putting the instruments on top of them and being like really conscious that way too. So,
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I didn't touch on that, but yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah, kind of similar to when like, we went to the Jewish location. They talked about they never passed anything over the body during their washing,
hmm
which I thought was kind of interesting.
for sure. Wouldn't
Yeah,
think
it just
about
seems
that.
like a respect
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Anything else ethical anybody can add? I'm sure I didn't cover them all.
I think earlier you mentioned about getting permission to embalm and whatnot too is really important. And especially, when there's religious ties to it too, when they might not want embalming too, and not just assume that they're going to have one because the body's going to be present.
Right. And
hmm
then, I guess to that extent, I could back up, and I know that even in sometimes we don't get the ability to meet with the families beforehand to educate them. But um, if we do get to meet with them, obviously we want to let them know that there are options other than embalming,
Hmm.
to make sure that they know, unless they pick a service that would require it by law. Um, I didn't touch on that, but so the families don't feel pressured into it. Other than that, I don't think I can think of anything.
No, I think we're in good shape there. And we got about 15 minutes left of the talk, so we can go to the next one if someone else is ready.
Yep, I'm ready. So mine were the two periods during which cavity aspiration and injection can take place. So really it's embalmer preference if they want to do the cavity aspiration injection immediately, or if they want to delay it. If you do delay it, typically up to 8 to 12 hours. Some of the benefits of doing a delayed aspiration injection are you have a maximum time frame to let arterial fluid kind of penetrate through all the tissue spaces and the walls of the organs, and that makes it actually easier to pierce with the trocar. It also allows facial tissues to contour and firm in the face. Some benefits of immediate would be you're kind of eliminating large numbers of microbes that will multiply and accelerate the decomposition. Um, you're also preventing gas buildup, which in turn is a disadvantage to delay because you're giving time for the body to swap gases. Another disadvantage to immediate would be incomplete fluid distribution. You can actually cause tissue damage by doing it immediately, and that can cause swelling, discoloration, and you can also promote purge to happen from all the gas buildup. Disadvantage of delayed you could still, um, just with blood sitting in the heart, liver, large veins, you're kind of promoting discoloration. That's where a lot of embalmers will see the gray or the formaldehyde gray that can occur in the body. And really, you're just at a higher risk to have decomposition happen if you do delay versus immediate. So that's pretty much everything for the two different types of cavity aspiration and distribution of the cavity fluid.
What do you guys do at your funeral homes?
We typically will do it immediately.
I will say we do it as well. We have come back and do it later, but I would say I also heard this week at DMAC there was a couple people that decide that their funeral home will do it right away, and then they'll come back and re-aspirate and re-inject. And I thought that was, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that for me, that was pretty foreign. Like just the little bit of time that I've been in the embalming room, we have not did it that way. And they were okay with using more fluid, and they've had better results that they've said, and that's how they learned how to do it. So I'm open to all kinds. I mean, definitely, I'm sure it's a case by case scenario. You gotta, you can't always just do one or the other and just assess your case.
I know we've kind of done it both ways too. I think most of the time we try to do it the next morning, unless there's already some swelling or purging already too. And we've done continuous aspiration even just during the embalming. A time that we had just so many blood clots, we couldn't get any proper drainage. And so then we had the trocar in the heart the entire time and pulling fluids out that way for drainage.
Makes sense too.
Do you see that it makes a difference? You delay the aspiration and arterial solution, or is it kind of the same if
Yes,
you
for
do it
me,
immediately?
I'm not super experienced in it, so I can't really tell the
Yeah.
difference, but my preceptor prefers it that way because
Okay.
he says he likes the fluid to like work into the tissue for longer, especially if you kind of keep some of the pressure in there before, but I guess I don't exactly see the difference myself yet.
Okay.
And we've re-aspirated in times in the past too if there's a lot of gases going on too, and you can see they're swelling or purging again too even.
I was gonna say typically we'll re-aspirate if we have cases like tissue gas or things like that. So that's a common one where we'll do immediately and then we'll do the next day.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've really only seen like, depending how far out the funeral home is doing like the funeral and different stuff, and then they'll redo it. But, or if like they're shipping them out or something, and then I've always seen them do like immediately and then also a delayed one too to make sure that it's going to be preserved on the plane and everything too. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
mhm.
Well, we
We
have about
ready?
like 9 to 10 minutes left, I think, if we want to get to the last one.
Okay, I had some stuff on surface embalming. And surface embalming we use for things on like the skin that would be like maybe like from an accident or decomp, or if there was maybe skin donation done, or sometimes the cancerous growths can kind of get pretty bad. So then they need some extra treatment. So it's just like we use Sin Gel a lot, especially on like skin donation. We'll put that all over the back or on the thighs, just depending where they took the skin from. We do use a lot of the Sin Gel, and then we do drying powders. And we'll do just sometimes, I mean, you got the big treatments like with the skin donation, or you have just maybe a lot of the elderly with their skin tears and stuff, we just do like a little bit of powder on those and wrap them and just kind of give them a little bit extra. So, um, and then other accident stuff too. I mean, sometimes they're also pretty traumatic, and we almost always use like some drying powders that have the formaldehyde type of stuff in there too. So, but typically, I don't. Our funeral home uses a lot of Syngel. So, do you guys have a preference that you guys use for your surface embalming?
We have the Sin Gel too. I've only used it like twice, I think, because there was some skin slippage on the forearms already.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, we haven't done a whole lot of surface embalming. There was like a bruising one somebody had on their hand that he wrapped up with some sort of surface embalming, but I didn't see the whole process of that. I just seen him wrap up and then try to was it like a bleaching almost. I don't know if that's similar to surface embalming or not, or that's more just stain removal that he was working on.
I think that would count as surface embalming.
I would think so. I just don't know if it actually did any preservation or if it just did just cosmetically, it was more appealing.
Mm-hmm. I I do embalmings at like a trade service,
Mhm.
and they don't typically do any of the bruising stuff. He leaves that for the funeral home. So in the funeral home I work at, we'll kind of try to do some, but he doesn't do a lot of bleaching, and I wish that he would, but because it seems like it looks the end product is a lot better. We're not all bruised all over their hands and what's being exposed. So
Hmm.
we've had one where they had like a gash on their head from falling, and we packed some stuff in there too and let it sit. So, and that seemed to help a lot actually.
I regretfully don't have much. We use a little Syngel, but like in the cases that I've been in the prep room, which have been limited, I don't have a lot to add to it. I'm hoping for more knowledge or, more chances to craft it, but we'll see.
Are you just getting into the embalming room this semester?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got your
Yeah.
five
So,
done yet?
no, I need one more.
Mm,
I'm not hoping for anybody to die, but I'm kind of hoping that I can get my last embalming. We'll say it that way.
yeah.
Yeah, I've
That'll
helped with quite a
happen.
few of them, but I haven't completed any of my forms yet. So hopefully he doesn't give me too much trouble about being late on a couple of them. But as long as it's in by the end of the semester, I think is my goal at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think on the surface embalming too, there's like some sort of massage cream that has like an embalming fluid in it somehow too. I don't remember what it was, but I remember I used it in the prep room once because I thought it was just like a just a massage cream, but I
Like
guess it was
Kalon or
something.
something.
Yeah, yeah, and then it really dried out some things, but it all turned out okay. But he said, "Don't use that again." I'm like,
Oops.
"Yeah, I guess."
They typically will use the dry-in gel for autopsies. After we sew them up, we'll place that on the incisions and then we'll wrap in cotton.
Mm-hmm. We use like some really, I can't remember what it's called, but it like literally almost looks like gravel. It's like the most heavy duty that they have for autopsies. Like it's like this brown, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like very intense drying powders.
I don't know what that is either.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the strongest that they could find. That's what they always use.
No, we've used quite a few different glues too for around the skin. I don't know if there's my boss really likes just standard super glue rather than a lot of the
Aaron Alpha.
yeah, exactly. When we use some of that, but he's like, that stuff is so much more expensive. I'm like, I suppose so, but we use quite a bit of that and put the cotton on those open wounds or skin donations, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even saran wrap, we've had to saran wrap some legs in the past too, because there are just so many just wounds all over it. It wasn't holding like any fluid.
Yeah, we had one that they died of sepsis, and there was like a lot of weeping just from the full body
Mhm.
infection. So we tried to surface embalm the arms, but they were still oozing. So we had to, yeah, didn't work. So we had to do the cotton, and we wrapped them all up and just hope that nothing would leak through because they were in their white shirts. So
Yeah, yeah, that's always the
Typically,
You
fear.
know,
we'll
the
put
best
the,
choice.
on
You say again?
putting the union all over
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're leaking, and then dress them after we wrap everything.
Mm-hmm.
How soon after the embalming do you guys normally dress them? Do you guys kind of wait like the day before the service, or how far in advance do you do? We've had times
Usually.
we kind of get worried about leakage, and so we try to wait towards the last minute.
Mm-hmm. We typically wait.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do too. Like the same day of the visitation is when we typically dress and do everything else. So,
yeah, that would be ideal.
hmm especially on those cases where they're got a little bit more leakage going on, you have to just wait till like right before.
Lots of extra steps for them.
hmm
I don't know
We're
exactly
sitting.
how much time we're in. I think we're somewhere around 25 minutes. So I think if we're a
Okay.
couple minutes short, I don't think it's gonna harm
Hopefully
anything if
it's
we're
not a
22
failing
minutes.
grade, but I'm pretty sure it won't be.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I appreciate all of your time. I think
Yeah,
we're
thank
good.
you for making it work. I don't have to worry about this weekend now. Thanks.
Yeah, no kidding. I
Exactly.
appreciate you doing it in your car too. That I would not want to do this in my
Yes.
car.
That's all right.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
see ya.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.